Alrighty, a quick overview of the budget process, the City Council, and well, first let me start by saying that the purpose of this meeting is to invite comment on the annual budget, and this is required for all local governments in the state of Georgia. My name is Karen Callan. I'm the Finance Director with the City of Douglasville, and I'll take you through a brief presentation to cover all the funds that Councilman Adams covered on the agenda. And at the end of the presentation, please feel free to make comment or ask questions. First, the overview of the budget process. The City Council have a staff retreat. They set goals and objectives. We had a budget workshop April 24th and April 25th of 2019. Today we have our public hearing for our public comment, and we plan on adopting the budget on June 3rd. Our basic principles of budget development that we've used over the years, we always have conservative projections. We always include a contingency. Our goal is to keep salaries and benefits 60% or below. We continue to cost share health insurance benefits with employees. We try to at least have 5% of capital outlay included in the budget and update our 5-year plan annually. And as always, your operating expenses should not exceed your operating revenues, and you never want to balance your budget with a one-time revenue source. So the total of budget amended in the current fiscal year is $33,174,000. The total budget proposed that we're adopting is $33,264,000. That's a 0% increase from the prior year. From the amended budget, which would be the prior year. The document will be loaded on the website today at douglasville.ga.gov. It's about 340 pages if anybody is interested to go look at it in more detail than what we're going through here at this public hearing. A quick breakout of how our revenue sources are. We have 84% of our revenue sources are taxes, but I'll go into the next slide to show the detail of those taxes. Then you can see the different revenue sources that we have. Fines and forfeiture, 6%, charges for service, 6%, licenses and permits, 3%, investment income, and so on. A breakdown of our total taxes, or of the 84% that I just mentioned, that's $28,088,000. Property taxes and sales tax make up the largest portion of this 84%, property tax at 36%, and local option sales tax at 27%. Our franchise tax includes Georgia Power, Greystone, Atlanta Gas, Comcast, Sync Global, Bell South, and Windstream. Our general fund revenues by category, license and permits, total increase 0%, those stayed steady. Charges for service, which include West Pines, green fees, cart fees, driving range. And new this year we have lacrosse. There's a small $5,000 budget item for lacrosse revenues, and that was added within the Parks and Recreation Department. Fines and forfeitures, that includes probation and fines. We have a 0% increase there. Investment income, we are receiving a higher interest rate than previous at Georgia Fund 1, which is where we carry most of our operating cash. Other financing sources, the current year includes our encumbrances that we rolled forward. And as you might remember, we had a lot of those at the end of the fiscal year with some of the professional services that we're working on. And then we have a proposed budget of $100,000 transfer from the Sanitation Fund. General fund taxes, we have a total increase of 6%, and that includes all the taxes that I just mentioned: sales tax, property tax, franchise tax, hotel motel tax, insurance premium tax. Local option sales tax, which is that and property tax, make up the largest portion of our tax base, tax revenue sources, budgeting an increase of 5%, and for property tax an increase of 7%, but that includes a small percent, it's 6%, but there is a revenue line item for prior year property tax, which that brings it up to 7% other than 6%. General fund expenses by category. Personal services, we've budgeted for an increase of 6%. Contract services, 8%, including in the personal services, 2% for merit. We have an employee health clinic at $100,000, Pension costs, we budgeted an increase of 1% of payroll. We also have a 5% increase in health insurance expense. Anything over that, we plan on asking employees to cost share. Purchase contract services decreased. And this is due to the Jacobs Consulting contracts for Northside redevelopment, staff augmentation, and working on the UDO that we will not have this new budget year. And capital outlay, the big decrease there is because we purchased jail property in the current year, and we don't have that same capital outlay purchase in the subsequent year. You can see how our total general fund expenses break out. As usual, and in most local governments that have public safety is the largest portion, and general government is the second largest. General government is made up of the city manager's office, finance, IT, legal, HR, community relations, engineering, and legislative. Personal services, like I mentioned earlier, we do have a 2% merit increase, 5% health insurance increase. We did not add any new positions in the police department. We have 101 certified law enforcement officers. We have one staff engineer that is jointly funded between the SPLOST budget and general fund. But personal services make up 57%, so we are meeting our goal of less than 60%. And even though we do have a SPLOST that funds most of our capital, we still have 6% of capital included in the general fund budget. Some capital outlays that we have in our budget, we have police vehicles, the Tahoes, the police department gate replacement, weather siren upgrades, tablets and docking stations, microwave, Motorola. We are funding the conference center AV equipment, parks maintenance equipment, and West Pines pump motor and the Triplex T mower and the Gator utility cart. And the pump motor pulls from the lake into the irrigation system. An example of other operating costs are items like office supplies, some of the utilities, and our fleet maintenance. The general fund debt, this is not our annual appropriation, but we often do get the question of how much debt do you have? Our West Pines golf course, we have $4 million remaining, and that finishes out in 2035. But we're happy to say the fire station and Hawthorne Center, we only have one more year left. This will be the last year. In summary, the general fund, which is our chief operating fund, increased at 0% this year. The enterprise fund budget, the sanitation fund, we have a 11% decrease. This is due to capital outlay that was not budgeted in the current year. This year also included Waste Industries contract for front load services. So they have the trucks that we're dealing with. So we did not fund any capital outlay this year. And as you can see, they have 8,336 residential customers, 687 commercial, and 97 roll-off dumpster customers. But that total budget decreased by 11%. Our special revenue funds, we have a total of $1.3 million, and I have a list of all our grants that we're currently are active right now. Our hotel motel tax fund increased by 76%, and this is largely due to the AV equipment that we have included in their budget for this year. The confiscated asset fund budget, it's $327,500 between the local and the federal. It's a decrease of 18%. The total cash in the local confiscated asset fund is $1.6 million. The total cash in the federal asset fund is $160,000. So they do have the cash to fund the budget. We do not project future drug forfeitures. Other special revenue funds, total of $3.5 million, 3590800. We have our GEMA Flood Fund, CVB, Rental Car Fund, our Public Purpose Corporation Fund, Development Authority, Public Safety Debt Service Fund, and our OPEB Fund, which is Other Post-Employment Benefit Fund. And lastly, our SPLOST Fund, we're not required to adopt this on an annual basis. We budget for this on a multi-year basis and adopt it as needed. We have our Parks and Recreation that represent 20%, Public Safety 20%. Our facilities portion of our SPLOST revenue is 15%, and Transportation at 45%. And a summary of our SPLOST projects that we're working on: resurfacing, $7.6 million worth of street resurfacing. And as you can see, we've got a lot going on in our SPLOST budget. Closing remarks, closing notes and remarks. Thursday, May 30th, the legislative work session, and the voting session for the budget will be Monday, June 3rd. The budget document can be found online at douglasvillega.gov. Now we'll take comments from citizens. City Manager, any comments?
No. Great job.
All right.